Hey friends, welcome to Sabbath School Daily, where we have been studying from this lesson right here, 3 Cosmic Messages. This week we're studying from lesson number 11, which has the title, The Seal of God and the Mark of the Beast, Part 1. And today is Wednesday's lesson, which has the title, Those Who Follow the Lamb. Now, today's lesson revolves around Revelation chapter 13, verse 1 and 2, that says this. Revelation 13, verse 1 and 2. It says, Then I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his head a blasphemous name. Now the beast which I saw was like a leopard, his feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth like the mouth of a lion. The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority. So that's what today's lesson is about. Now, as the lesson continues to describe what's going on here, it states that the dragon, as stated here in Revelation 13, is Satan, right? The dragon, and it makes the comparison in the lesson. The dragon is also revealed to be Satan in Revelation chapter 12, verse 9, and also Revelation chapter 20, verse 2, identify the dragon as Satan, as Lucifer. In this context, the dragon, in chapter 12, verse 3 through 5, the same dragon, as is stated here, it says that another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 diadems on his heads. His tail drew a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth to devour her child as soon as it was born. She bore a male child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to God and his throne. So what we learn here in today's lesson is that this is an instance, this is a description of examples, right? Examples where Satan, he tries to destroy the child Christ. In this situation, you have the case where King Herod, being used by the devil, tried to kill Jesus when he killed all of the babies in that area where Jesus was born in Bethlehem. You also find later on that the Roman power, through Pilate, condemned Jesus to death. A Roman executioner nailed Jesus to the cross. A Roman soldier thrust a spear into Jesus' side. So what this is demonstrating is that the dragon has constantly been trying to destroy, or at least during Jesus' life, constantly just tried to destroy him, to kill him. Ultimately, he succeeded in doing that, and in killing Jesus. Jesus died. We also know that nothing happens outside of God's control, and that it had already been prophesied for a long time that was going to happen to Jesus. But here we see the wrath, the hatred, the anger of the enemy coming out. And so the lesson continues to describe exactly this reality, this happening. It says that at the end of Jesus' life, a Roman governor, Pilate, condemned Christ to die. I said that. A Roman executioner nailed him to the cross, to a cruel cross. A Roman soldier pierced him with a spear. Roman soldiers guarded his tomb. According to Revelation 13, verse 2, the dragon, Satan, working through pagan Rome, would give the seat of his government to this emerging power. So what we see here is that the dragon, by using or being represented, Satan, by using and by being represented by pagan Rome, historically gave its power, gave its throne, gave its position to ecclesiastical Rome, right? To papal Rome. A quote that's very interesting that's mentioned in today's lesson, which comes from the Seventh-day Adventist Bible Commentary, Volume 7, page 817. It says, though primarily representing Satan, the dragon in a secondary sense represents the Roman Empire. The power succeeding the Roman Empire, which received from the dragon his power and his seat and great authority, is clearly papal Rome. And then a second quote comes from the historian A.C. Flick, which explains that out of the ruins of political Rome arose the great moral empire in the giant form of the Roman Church. So the description that the lesson is giving is that this beast, this beast that arises in Revelation 13, verse 1 and 2, represents the power of papal Rome that receives its power from the dragon in the form of the power coming from pagan Rome, right? So the empire of Rome, the political power of Rome, then succeeds or cedes its place, its power, its throne to pagan, to religious or ecclesiastic Rome, and that is where the power of that entity is derived from, at least at first, right? We know everything that the medieval church did and what it, both politically, religiously, it all comes from power that is given to it in those first few centuries by imperial Rome. In any case, those first few centuries from the transition between imperial to papal Rome, not the first few centuries of the Christian era or after Christ. Revelation chapter 13, verse 3 and Revelation 14, verse 4 stand in contrast. And so again, the lesson is bringing a contrast between these two verses. On one hand, you have the description of this beastly power that receives a mortal blow, a blow of death, and then it is miraculously resurrected or healed, cured, and all the world marvels after it. So that's one side of this contrast, one extreme of this contrast that appears in Revelation chapter 13. And then in chapter 14, verse 4, there's the description of the 144,000, the description of those who do not follow the beast, that do not follow the dragon, but actually follow Christ, follow the Lamb wherever he goes. So what the lesson is teaching us through this comparison, through this contrast, is that if on one hand you have those who will follow the dragon, right, as it says in Revelation 13, that all the world marveled after this beast that had received its power from the dragon, there are also those who will follow the Lamb. Now, what the lesson also makes clear is that there is no middle ground. Either you follow one side or you follow the other. There is no middle neutral ground. Either I stand for Christ or you stand, or, either I or you will stand for Christ, or either I or you will stand for the dragon and for the beastly powers. So the encouragement here is for us to stand for the Lamb. It won't be easy, especially in these end times. It will not be something easy to do. We will be persecuted. All forms of trials and obstacles will be thrown our way. But we also know that Christ overcame, and because he overcame, because he is victorious, we can be also. So I encourage you to study your lesson. This is a deep lesson. I certainly couldn't go over everything that is addressed here in one short video, but as the purpose of these videos is to encourage you to study the lesson, to dig a little bit deeper. That's exactly what I want you to do. Read the verses, read the quotes, think a little bit upon this. If there are any questions that you have, dig deeper. You could write them down in the comment section. Perhaps we could address them if there is anything to address. But the encouragement is for you to be a diligent student of the Bible. And this is a handy tool for that. So please remember to write down the answers to your questions or to the questions that are answered here in the lesson. Also remember to think upon these topics. And I'm sure that because you're doing that, or when you do that, you will also share this with those around you. Also, please remember to like, to share, and to subscribe to our videos. We release one every day, and I hope to see you again here tomorrow for another Sabbath School Day.